My dear students, good morning. This is Deepak Kumar, and today I shall be discussing with you the chapter in the Kingdom of Fools that is written by A.K. Ramanujan. I have already talked about the first part of the chapter. If you have not listened to the first part, the audio content that I delivered for the first part of the chapter, I request all of you to go through that and then listen to this content. And those who have already gone through that audio content, they are requested to listen to this audio content. Right, dear? So, let's start. NCERT, page number 22. My lord, he said, I'm a poor goldsmith. It's true, I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich man merchant's orders. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait. You know how impatient rich men are. So, when you listened to that first audio content, you understood that the dancer was responsible, according to the king, the dancer was responsible for, because of that, the bricklayer made a very fragile wall, and because of that fragile wall, it fell on the thief's head and it killed him on the spot. And so, who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which has now fallen on an innocent man and killed him? Can you name him? The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now justice had come full circle, thought the king. Back to the merchant when he was rudely summoned back to the court. He arrived crying, "It wasn't me, but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead. I am innocent." But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. "It's true, your father is the true murderer. He is dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. You must die." And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. So, see, my dear students, this is happening. Since the merchant's father was responsible for the death of the intruder, according to the king, I am not saying this, according to the king, the merchant's father was responsible. But since in the king's logic, when the merchant inherited all the riches of his father, so he will definitely be punished because of his father's crimes. Right. "What shall we do?" he said, when suddenly it struck him that all they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to feed the steak. The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who would feed the steak, and their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. "What have I done wrong? I am innocent. I am a sannyasi," he cried. "That may be true, but it's the royal decree that we should find a man fat enough to feed the steak." They said and carried him to the place of execution. He remembered his wise guru's words, "This is a city of fools. You don't know what they will do next." While he was waiting for death, he prayed to his guru in his heart, asking him to hear his cry wherever he was. The guru saw everything in a vision. He had magic powers. He could see far and could see the future as he could see the present and the past. He arrived at once to save his disciple who had got himself into such a scrap through love of food. So the disciples' guru already informed him, already requested him not to stay in this kingdom of fools. But in that place, everything was of single dudu, and this disciple was attracted, infatuated towards this, and he thought that if I will stay here, I can eat whatever I want. And that's why he didn't listen to the advice given by his guru. And now he is in big trouble. And so he remembered his guru in his heart. And as soon as he remembered his guru came there to save him. As soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. Then he went to the king and addressed him. O wisest of kings, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? Of course, the guru, the king replied. No doubt about it. Why do you ask? Then put me to the stake first. Put my disciple to death after me. That was the trick. When the disciple heard this, he understood and began to clamor, began to shout, Me first, me first. You brought me here first. Put me to death first, not him. The guru and the disciple now got into a fight, altercation, about who should go first. The king was puzzled by this behavior. He asked the guru, Why do you want to die? We chose him because we needed a fat man for the stake. You shouldn't ask me such questions. Put me to death first, replied the guru. Why? There is some mystery here. As a wise man, you must make me understand. Will you promise to put me to death if I tell you? Asked the guru. The king gave him his solemn word. The guru took him aside, out of the servant's earshot, and whispered to him, Do you know why we want to die right now? The two of us? We have been all over the world, but we have never found a city like this or a king like you. That stake is the stake of the God of justice. It's new. It has never had a criminal on it. Whoever dies on it first will be reborn as the king of this country, this beautiful country. And whoever goes next will be the future minister of this country. We are sick of our ascetic life, simple life. It would be nice to enjoy ourselves as king and minister for a while. Now keep your word, my lord, and put us to death. Me first, remember. So that was a trick played by Guru in order to save the disciple's life. Right. He said, put me to death first. And if you put me to death first, I will be the king in my next birth here. And everyone wants to be the king of this beautiful place. Sarcastically, he was saying this in order to please the king. Please the king. The king was now thrown into deep thought. He didn't want to lose the kingdom to someone else in the next round of life. He needed time. So he ordered the execution postponed to the next day and talked in secret with his minister. It's not right for us to give over the kingdom to others in the next life. Let's go on to the stake ourselves and we'll reborn as king and minister again. Holy men, do not tell lies, he said, and the minister agreed. So he told the executioners, We'll send the criminals tonight. When the first man comes to you, put him to death first. Then do the same to the second man. Then do the same to the second man. Those are my orders. Don't make any mistake. That night, the king and his minister went secretly to the prison, released the guru and the disciple, disguised themselves as the two, and as arranged beforehand with loyal servants, were taken to the stake and promptly executed. When the bodies were taken down to be thrown to crowns and vultures the people panicked. They saw before them the dead bodies of the king and the minister. The city was in confusion. All night they mourned and discussed the future of the kingdom. Some people suddenly thought of the guru and the disciple and caught up with them as they were preparing to leave town unnoticed. We people need a king and a minister, said someone. Others agreed. They begged the guru and the disciple to be their king and their minister. It didn't take many arguments to persuade the disciple, but it took longer to persuade the guru. They finally agreed to rule the kingdom of the foolish king and the silly minister, on the condition that they could change all the old laws, all the foolish laws that was originally made by the king. From then on, night would again be night and day would again be day, and you could get nothing for a to-do. It became like any other place. A Kannada folk tale from A.K. Ramanujan's Folk Tales from India. That's all from today's class, my dear students. I request all of you to go through the text, infer the meaning, find out the meaning of the difficult words. If you fail, if you find any difficulty, please convey the same to me. I will clarify the doubts. Thank you.